Welcome to Immortal X-Men issue number 2. So before I get started, if you don't mind, can you please leave a like and comment on the video to help the channel grow? So with that out there, this issue picks up after the departure of Eric from the Quiet Council. So with a vacant seat available, many mutants, including Celine Gallio, have been vying for the spot. However, her campaign for the position was unsuccessful as Hope Summers put forward her own name for candidacy. A poor winner and an even worse loser, Celine has made her displeasure at this decision well known, as she let loose a giant sea creature to wreak havoc on Krakoa. So with that said, this issue opens from the perspective of Hope Summer as she watches the beast ravage the land. For now, with her new position on the council, this issue is now her problem. For the once Araco Gate was animated into a beast as a form of consequences. Consequences for not picking Celine. The same Celine that just teleported herself to Britain in order to hide under the protection of the Queen for as long as it takes for the Council to come to their senses. But little did Celine know, the people of Krakoa are resilient, and Hope Summer is no exception. Because one thing Hope Summers will always be, is a leader. For without no hesitation at all, she took charge of the situation and led the attack from the front lines. Despite her importance to the resurrection process, she still chose to put the people first, as she tells Produce to get as many people as possible to safety. So with the fearless Hope doing her thing, we see Storm and Eric overlooking the conflict from a safe distance as they discuss the situation. With Storm telling Eric that the war captains would be more than enough to deal with this problem, but it would be a good show of strength if the current and outgoing administrations both take part in repelling this beast. Because let's face it, Eric is not the kind of person to just leave quietly. Because as a great leader, he would want to leave something for people to remember him by. And what is better to leave as a memory than playing a part in the current ordeal? So just like that, the two Omega-level mutants entered the battle and put on one hell of a display, as chunks of metal and lighting hit the beast from all directions. Because either one of them could deal with this by themselves if they truly tried. And together this fight was all but assured if they really wanted to. Because in a rotisserie of mayhem, the beast was ripped to pieces and scattered across the land. So with that battle seemingly over, the chunks of the creature began to reform, as Destiny began to get a flurry of strange and mysterious visions. For something about the monster is causing her abilities to malfunction, because this creature is connected to multiple dimensions. So when you hurt it, you inadvertently damage the gateway to the other world. So somehow the Krakoans have to find a way to defeat the monster without killing it. Because if they do, the other world could be lost to them. So with the pressure to find a solution builds, we see Hope once again on the move, trying her hardest to get everyone out of the path of the beast. Now this job she is trying to do is too big for any one person to accomplish. But see, Hope isn't alone, because Exodus is by her side. And together they are able to hold the beast at bay as they combine their power. Because when Hope first met Exodus, she borrowed some of his power. And when she had it, she discovered that his power came from the people who believed in him. So fast forward to today, Hope comes up with a plan. Because her ability is to copy other mutants' abilities. Which means if she works hand to hand with Exodus, then the popularity she receives from the people of Krakoa would power her up. So as Hope and Exodus fight the good fight, we jump over to Sinister once again while he is going through his lab. Because Sinister has something up his sleeve for this kind of situation. Because most people presume he is a joke. Which is how he prefers it, because by playing the Joker, he is able to hide his true abilities. So grabbing a tube of DNA, he makes his way to his teleporter to remind the people exactly what he can do, because a long time ago he heard a saying. And the saying went as followed: fight not with monsters in case you become a monster. But in his experience, he found the reverse to be true, cause if you fight with monsters you should also become a monster. So as he plugs the genes into his arm, Sinister begins to grow into a giant hulking beast of muscle and fury. Now, with his monstrous form unleashed, Charles had to ask the important question, which was, "What the heck are you doing?" Referring to this new form Sinister took. For no one on Krakoa was aware of his experiments. So because of that, Nathaniel explains that over the past few weeks, he has been working on this experiment. Basically what he did was combine a lot of different X genes together to form an early-stage chimera prototype. But unfortunately, this suite he created is unstable, which means in a few seconds once he leads the creature away from the shoreline, Sinister would need a rescue party because this monster form will explode. So just as advertised, both Kaijas go up in a massive explosion, leaving one Nathaniel Essex floating in the ocean until Nightcrawler bamfs to his rescue and drops him off at the shore. Now with Nathaniel being who he is, he expected some kind of hero comment, or at least some grateful fans. But Kurt reminded him that he is no hero. Which is true because everything Sinister do is for himself. But ultimately Sinister is invested in protecting Krakoa just as much as anyone else is. So he tells Kurt that he may not be grateful for Sinister's, but Sinister is grateful for Kurt's rescue. So after a brief and awkward silence between the two, Kurt gives Sinister a thumbs up as he replied by saying, "You bought us time, well done," and with that said he walked away. So with a little bit of time bought by Sinister's newest chimera form, Emma Frost calls for an emergency council meeting in the astral plane. And once there the members quickly make the point to point out that this whole situation is for Celine to wait them out, to show the council just how weak they are towards a magical threat, which like I said before is true, since Apocalypse left the seat vacant. So as the captains slow down the creature, Charles suggests that the Quiet Council reach out to Celine and negotiate with her to de-escalate the situation. And on a side note, Colossus asks during his meeting if Cyclops created a protocol for this situation, which on the next data page, as you may have assumed, he did. But anyway, getting back to the story, we pick up with Destiny meeting with Hope Summers. And during this conversation, Destiny tells Hope that at 1907 Greenwich Mean Time, Celine will step by a window in London, and she has ascertained its address, and she will stand there for a second before she dies. Now at first Hope wasn't picking up what Destiny was saying, because she states what is the probability of that event happening, which Destiny responded by saying, significantly higher after this conversation. So with all the pieces clicking together in her head, Hope walks close enough to Magic with a sniper rifle in hand in order to borrow her powers and teleport to said location. So as she emerged out of a portal in midair, she takes the shot instantly at her target as she free falls towards the ground. But like the expert marksman she is, the Mysterium bullet lands true, taking out Celine in one shot before creating yet another portal below her to exit from. So with Celine off the table, Hope arrives back on Krakoa with no one being the wiser. So her first order of business was to grab Exodus and resurrect Celine. And as soon as she was brought back, Hope greeted her with a strong right hand, as Exodus takes Celine's head and hand in order to scan her mind for the kaiju off switch. And after the intel was gathered, he snapped her neck, ending the threat and tossing her to the back of the queue, as Hope exits the room. So with the threat over, we pick up in yet another Quiet Council meeting where Hope is answering for her actions, saying she broke no Krakoa laws, and she saw an opportunity and took it. And because she took it, the kaiju was eliminated, which is 100% true. Because as you may have guessed, the council was in agreement about her actions. Because if Hope was to bring Celine back alive, then the council would have voted to toss her in the pits anyway. So with all that avoided, Charles had to ask an important question, which was, when will Celine be resurrected? Which the ruthless Hope Summers responds by saying we should table that discussion for now. So with everyone in agreement, the meeting was over. So with that said, we skip over to Destiny, Mystique, and Sinister walking out the chamber. And Sinister forever being himself, he tells Destiny that Celine could be of use to them if brought back. Which Destiny responds by saying she doesn't think her coming back would be good for them, which shocked Sinister due to her showing some level of concern for him. Which Destiny had to remind him that a long time ago, she told him that they must be on the same side. So as she reminds him of her promise, Charles walks up after overhearing the tail end of the conversation, and asks what did she imply by saying working together. Which of course Sinister just played it off and said he had no idea. So with everything set and done, Destiny starts to stumble as the effects of the creature still plagued her mind. Because the last time she felt something similar to this was over a century ago when she met with Nathaniel back in 1919 in Paris. And just like back then, something strange happens, as this time Destiny falls to the ground mumbling the same phrase Sinister did back then, saying you're just a ghost over and over again. So with that said, issue number 2 of Immortal X-Men comes to an end.